Yeah, it is. Welcome back. We are now going to continue to learn more about Mars from even different angles in the next round of TED-type talks. The first speaker, Emily Breer, in her own words, is a student, entrepreneur, and engineer looking to push the boundaries of the space race. Emily will tell us about the Time Capsule to Mars student mission, which she leads. As James Reuter wrote the architectural roadmap for NASA's human space exploration systems, he's the man for the job to tell us about the technology we have and are developing to use on Mars, at Mars, and for Mars. Then last but certainly not least in this group, Cassie Conley. She was responsible for ensuring that the United States complies with Article 9 of the Outer Space Treaty. That Article 9 specifies that planetary exploration should avoid contaminating the bodies we are exploring throughout the solar system. Of course, also to avoid any contamination of Earth when materials are brought back from outer space. All responsibilities as Planetary Protection Officer of NASA, to make sure we don't screw up, neither one way, the other way, neither coming back. To be truthful, the considerations of contaminations always worry me. Not so much as I'm afraid that rocks brought back from Mars will carry bacteria that will wipe out the human race, but more that all these rules might prevent us from sending humans to Mars, as not contaminating while you're walking and breathing on Mars takes effort. But now first, Emily Breer.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Emily Breer, and I'm a student currently at Duke University, or a senior, so hopefully I'll be graduating in 4 days. And today I'm going to talk to you a bit about the Time Capsule to Mars mission. So I'm going to start out by telling you what was our inspiration for this mission, and then go into what the mission is, and then how we can continue the story with everyone here in the audience today. So when we were at this conference, actually 2 years back, we started thinking about 3 main ideals that were really stuck in our heads. And this is, when I say we, I mean myself, another student who's in the audience here today, another industry professional who's also in the audience. I'm talking about my brother and my dad, and a third industry professional who is also here, Eric Knight. And we were talking over these concepts at TGI Fridays, and we were thinking, you know what? We need to find a way to get students more engaged in space exploration. How can we bridge this gap between what students are learning in school, in middle school, high school, and what's actually being done in the aerospace sector? We also wondered about telling a story. So how can we have a global impact? How can we make this, as someone said in an earlier session, I think it was John Grunsfeld, how can we make this step forward to Mars, something that is for all mankind, something that we really do together? And then the last one was technological. This is also something that someone touched on earlier today when they asked Charles Bolden, we have all this technology that we're developing in these laboratories across the country, but it's that gap between getting these technologies up into space. That's where the cost comes into play and the risk factor comes into play. And we were looking at the CubeSat platform, which really reduces risk, brings things down to a much more comprehensible level, and just for a matter of a couple $1 million, you can test this really novel technology. So with these 3 concepts in mind, we came up with the idea of Time Capsule to Mars. Now, Time Capsule to Mars has a global mission with the concept of being entirely student-led in every position, and designing, building, launching 3 time capsules of humanity in a CubeSat platform to land on the surface of Mars in the next 5 years. So this mission contains a lot of firsts. So it'll be the first student-led interplanetary mission, the first interplanetary CubeSat mission, which we might have to change the name if we use the interplanetary CubeSat because it's no longer a satellite at that point. It'll be the first interplanetary trial of ion electrospray propulsion, And it will be the first private mission to Mars, hopefully. So given our current time frame, hopefully it will be the first private mission to Mars. So I went over a lot of just kind of the background concept with you, and I want to summarize it here with the why, how, and what. So why, we believe that in order to have a better tomorrow, when we're talking about the 11-year-olds in the audience being the first to step foot on Mars, we need to be engaging those youths today. We need to make them a part of the Mars mission and the Mars ideal. The how is by making this CubeSat mission, this entirely student-led mission, to test a ton of new technology, to be incredibly relevant in the fields of aerospace in terms of the technology we're testing, but also to have students doing the whole thing. And then the what is inviting all of you in the audience, everyone from here to Africa to Russia, to upload their photo, upload their video, and be a part of the mission, to come along for the ride in watching the spacecraft all the way on its en route to Mars via live telemetry updates on our website and interactive games and portals. So in terms of a visual concept of operations, everyone around the world can upload their photos and videos to our time capsule. That will be uploaded to our spacecraft, which will be launched, and after cruising to Mars, we'll land there for hundreds of thousands of years, asking humanity, asking everyone in the audience to come to Mars, step foot, and find it. So we have a short video here that we made when we just came up with a concept a couple years ago, just 2 years ago, to give you a brief overview of what this mission's all about, and then I'll get into more of the technical concepts behind the mission.
Space is exciting, a lot of opportunities for adventure, and adventure is out there.
I grew up in a generation where space exploration was unbelievably exciting. I still remember when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, I was sitting in front of my little black and white TV taking pictures of the TV screen.
I've had a passion for space and space travel ever since my parents placed me as a toddler in front of a television in 1961 to watch Alan Shepard become the first American to fly into space.
I was only 14 when we first landed on the moon, and that led me to a career as an astronaut. Hi, I'm Charlie Precourt, ATK's Vice President and General Manager of our Space Launch Division.
Vince Cerf, I'm Google's Chief Internet Evangelist.
Emily Briere, and I'm the Mission Director of Time Capsule to Mars. Time Capsule to Mars is a mission that is entirely student-led, student-designed, student-built, and aims to land 3 CubeSat time capsules of humanity on the surface of the red planet.
We have humans in low Earth orbit and permanent presence on the space station. We've sent humans to the moon and back safely. Mars is the next place to go. That's why it's so important.
I think this whole idea of sending a time capsule to Mars and wondering what would you say, what would you want people 100 years from now to discover about us and our aspirations is a very intriguing thought.
I look forward to being able to etch photographs of my shuttle crews, my family, and my grandkids in particular.
I would love to see a Fuqua flag show up on Mars.
I'd actually really like some kind of literature art piece, something like that, to be sent to Mars.
Some pictures of my grandchildren.
My HBO Go password.
I think we should send something that's a characterization of our culture. Modern art, pictures of cities, of villages, of farms.
A picture of our founder, Doc Draper. Doc was instrumental in sending humans to the moon and getting them back to Earth safely.
Sometimes I wish I could send my brother to Mars.
This isn't actually just a stunt either. This is actually going to advance some key technologies that are important for space exploration.
Our international team, centered at MIT's Space Propulsion Lab, is working to send the first ever student-led CubeSat to Mars.
My name is Natalia Brickner, and I'm a PhD candidate in the Space Propulsion Lab here at MIT. In the Space Propulsion Lab, we study, design, and test electric propulsion for satellites. One of our main areas of research is electrospray technology.
Time Capsule to Mars is a unique aerospace project in that we're looking to crowdfund the audacious goal of $25 million.
If you read about the history of the economy of the United States, you discover that it was really technology that allowed us to become where we are today.
STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, form the groundwork for our next generation workforce. Indeed, those students that are inspired by Mars today will become the operators of Space Launch System in Orion tomorrow.
How can we get the space race more exciting? how can we have the average everyday person feel the connectivity between them and space?
I think the combination of looking out to space and looking into society to see how we can bring people together to accomplish amazing things is a wonderful combination.
Something like this is, something like Apollo, something that everyone can get behind and really rally behind, something that is small enough that they can contribute to, but grand in scope.
I can't think of a better project or a better goal to do something than landing something on Mars, which is something no one else has done, particularly to have it done by grad students and undergraduates.
We're asking you to join us on the first student-led mission to Mars and to leave your legacy on the red planet.
So you might have recognized some faces in that video, particularly Seamus Toohey in the audience has been incredibly instrumental in helping us build our momentum. And we've been lucky in having a great network of advisory support and corporate support in helping us grow. So for instance, Draper Laboratory with Seamus, as well as Boeing, Orbital ATK, Aerojet Rocketdyne, Lockheed Martin have come on as sponsors and really helped us develop, which is important because we have a really spread out national team. So the idea behind our mission is that each university lab takes a subsystem. And the reason we went through laboratories is that it helps with the continuity of a mission, having an advisor, as well as having graduate students coming in on a daily basis to help out. So we also have, so MIT is working on propulsion, Duke is working on structures aspect, CU Boulder is working on trajectory and communications, the avionics are being done at Embry-Riddle, Florida Institute of Technology is doing the systems engineering, Georgia Tech is working on designing the aerodynamic shape of the payload, and UConn is actually building the payload and lander itself. And we have representatives in this crowd today from MIT, Stanford, Duke, and UConn, so 4 of our major teams. We've also been working with Stanford on the science and radiation experiments. And the way we all integrate together on a daily basis is we have meetings with NASA program managers twice a week. So from Kennedy Space Center, we have 2 volunteers who've been helping us pull this all together. We also have meet with Boeing representatives, Boeing ELDP leaders every Friday, who are also volunteers. Jessica's in the audience, has been incredibly helpful for us. They actually come to a lot of our reviews and help us with understanding what are the requirements, what are the documentations we need to have in place. It's not all just going to your computer, designing CAD. It's actually keeping track of a lot of the stuff we're designing. So this goes to show how there's no such thing as one isolated subsystem, and we really all need to be talking on a daily basis. So this came out of our recent MIT review this past January, where we wanted to define what is the system's architecture of our system, what is the structural architecture, and how is everything interfacing. So you see there are power, commands, physical connections between all these subsystems, and it's important to have these people talking and understanding what requirements they're imposing on the other subsystems and what schools need to be talking on a daily basis. And then to give you an idea of the concept of operations, we launch from into a highly elliptical orbit on a date that we can't currently specify publicly. And then we will use our ion electrospray propulsion to thrust up for the majority of the mission. Probably only around 3/4 of the mission will be thrusting. And that'll be about 8 months. And then when we approach Mars, we will deploy the payload in front of us, which is the lander, which is aerodynamically designed to self-aerobrake through the atmosphere, use a small parachute to deploy and slow itself down, where our primary CubeSat will disintegrate in the atmosphere. That's not something we're trying to save. On the route there, though, we will be collecting a lot of important scientific data. We've been communicating with individuals at NASA, particularly Charlie Precourt, from a former astronaut, about what data is really valuable to be collecting. So I don't have time today, unfortunately, to go over all the technology, but I will touch on a couple of the more exciting technologies. So our MIT lab, I mentioned, is developing this ion electrospray propulsion, which is exciting because it's not pressurized. It's very low in mass and volume. And so 2 units of our 6U will be dedicated to this propulsion system. One of our biggest challenges here will be developing a communication system capable of communicating with this small of an antenna so far away from Earth. So right now we're currently deciding between using Deep Space Network or something like Arecibo. In terms of what testing we're doing right now. There's a lot of proof of concepts testing going along with our requirements phase. So for instance, this shows the Duke team performing some testing under a full spectrum solar simulator on a CubeSat, looking at how the sunlight will affect the aluminum and how the heat will dissipate. And this later test was performed in vacuum with a heat loop pipe pumping some of the heat out of the system. And then in terms of the lander, this unfortunately got cut off, but it should be a smooth blue part. This is going to be a ceramic with an ablative aerogel inside, and then a nanotruss with finally a foam inside to all encase the memory media to protect it on its entry to Mars. So a lot of this will be completely ablated to dissipate energy on the entry. So looking back on 2014, since we last spoke with you, we've accomplished a lot. We have over 9,000 followers on social media. We've had over 40 countries upload photos, videos, audio, some interesting photos to our time capsule. And we like to joke that we've had over 1,500 conference calls, because sometimes it feels like it. And then we've been really involved with STEM outside of just the fact that we're college students. So we understand that often you really need to reach students before they get to college. So in middle school, in high school, that's when you need to engage kids and say, hey, you can be an engineer. Hey, you can be a scientist. And this design right here, so this is a design for a potential bioreactor. So we've devoted 1U of our CubeSat to be some sort of science test. And we put a solicitation out to high schools saying, hey, what can you guys come up with? What do you think is a reasonable radiation experiment design, just to see what we would get back? And this is something that a high school team in Connecticut came up with to test biosamples on the way to Mars and image them, which may not be feasible for us because of planetary protection, but it's very interesting to see what these students can come up with. And then at a little bit of a lower level, we've been reaching out and engaging middle school students. So this is John and I, our former business lead, recently went and spoke at Arcola Middle School and ran their STEAM Day. So we gave the keynote centered on the concept of why, telling them to ask questions, engage. We ran sessions all throughout the day doing Mars landers, where they were really just doing egg drops, but explaining to them just how hard it is to land something in the Martian atmosphere. And we basically gave them a piece of paper, a couple straws, and some tape, and said, you have to make this egg survive. This is what NASA does every day. And we were incredibly surprised to see someone almost build the sky crane. They made a very, very long string with their one piece of paper so that when we held it up and dropped it, it was only falling like 2 inches. And we're like, you think you played a prank on us, but you just did what NASA did. And I think that group of girls was really excited to hear that. So where are we now? We just had our full system requirements review. And right now we're focusing on the stuff that's a little more programmatic and definitely not as exciting as building and designing, but it's really important to have a very strong foundation because this is going to launch and this is a real mission. So this involves getting our requirements aligned across the board between all the different universities, our level 0s, our level 1s. We just had our system requirements review with representatives from Boeing and NASA present, and we came up with this massive list of review item discrepancies that we're going through and refining and addressing so we can have close out this review and have a cohesive list of requirements that we can start designing to. So we are incredibly thankful for all the advisory support we have. We feel so lucky to be part of the Explore Mars organization. We get to meet with, for instance, Josh Powers meets with us every single week, multiple times to give us advice. Chris Carberry, everyone is amazing at Explore Mars. These are pictures of at our various reviews at Georgia Tech. This is our press conference. This was actually just sent to me today up in the upper left. A couple of our students and our NASA advisor and one of our Boeing representatives are going on a tour together. So we're definitely certainly engaged all across the board. And so we encourage you to upload your photos, leave your mark, and get involved. This photo was actually taken at the conference last year of everyone in the audience to commemorate that this is where the mission was founded, and this is a truly incredible conference for bringing together all the luminaries and incredible minds to push each other to come up with better concepts for Mars exploration. So thank you all for your time today, and we really encourage you to find a way to get involved in the mission. If you have questions, come and ask us. I actually think I ran over my time, so I can't take questions now, but please pull me aside, and we encourage you to shoot us an email, tweet at us, message us on Facebook. If you're looking to get involved and be an advisor, if you're looking to have a friend who you know who's a student get involved, just reach out, because we want this to be a mission truly for everyone across the board. Thank you.